Howdy doody everybody, I hope you're doing great. In today's video, we're actually talking about Monster Hunter Rise. There's been a lot of content going up recently on the YouTubes and everyone's talking about Rise in a negative way. Everyone's like, oh, I'm going back to World. World is the greatest and all of that. But let's look to the future. Let's be kind of more optimistic about the whole thing. And we know with Monster Hunter launches that there's another Monster Hunter game coming up in the future, and an expansion basically to the base game just by past Monster Hunter launches. And to talk about that, we've got our boy Paradise here. So what we calling it? What we calling this next like expansion that's coming?
I mean, I think like Rise Ultimate is. I would be surprised if they did something vastly different than that. But I want it to be something different because, like, you know, it would be cool to have a cool title that maybe is like thematically linked to the game, and the game is like more inspired by like the Japanese influence with the, you know, the brush strokes of the loading screen and the nice like Kimura village. So I don't know, maybe something a bit more linked to the theme of the game. But
What
we
if
had
it's
G
called...
and GU, so maybe it's just going to be R and RU. I don't know.
What if it's called Monster Hunter Rise Up, but the up stands for both up and upgrade, because it's upgrading
You know
the
what?
base game.
I love it. I love it. That's it.
There you go. Yeah, so we're going to go through some of the points and some of the things that we wish to see in the Rise Up, as we're calling it at the moment. Poor name, that sounds kind of weird, but maybe they will go for it. And really go through what we would expect and just hopefully make it a better game than the base game that we currently have. And the iterations on the base games are always kind of really an improvement, right? Remember when we got Iceborne for World, everybody felt the spice and all of that fun. So the first one, and kind of in line with Iceborne, is we want better and more Silkbind moves. A couple of the weapons in base Rise didn't necessarily have like equivalent Silkbind moves compared to like their buddies and the other weapons that they have in the game. Is there any weapons in particular that you didn't really feel shun with the Silkbind moves that could benefit with like some new moves?
People are going to disagree with me no matter what I say here, because everyone has their own favorite Silkbind move, but I would like to see some more interesting ones for the Insect Glaive. So it has a really cool one with the Wyvern Dive, and it has the other one where you like get that extra mid-air hop. But I've compared to some of the other weapons that either do like crazy good like damage output and become part of your super like hyper focus core rotation, or just something really flashy like a gun lance literally flying through the air, even though it's got like no real great combat functionality, it's still cool. I don't know. I think I want more for all of my favorite weapons, but when I play Insect Glaive, I can only Wyvern Dive so much before I just start to get like bored of it. So yeah, it's maybe something for Insect Glaive. What about you though?
For me, nothing. I think my weapons did pretty well, so I'm using like longsword and the bow, and those weapons did particularly well in terms of getting their Silkbind skills, so there isn't anything that necessarily calls out for it. But I will say for the greatsword, there is one move that I would want to have additional options on there, and that is like there is like a jumping slash that no one really uses. It would be nice to have like another option there for that, rather than just using the main move that the greatsword has as well. But I like the switch skills on the greatsword in terms of like having rage slash and all of that stuff. So there are options there. Maybe for the heavy bowgun as well. Maybe they can swap out some stuff there and get some more like really cool stuff on the heavy bowgun. Because I didn't really feel like I utilized crazy amounts of like the Silkbinds on the heavy bowguns all that much. So yeah, maybe the heavy bowgun will get some upgrades. But talking about the Silkbind skills, let's move to the things that we're going to use those Silkbind skills on. I feel like if they're going to do an upgrade, I don't know why they have a thing against my boy Gore Magala. I'm going to put it out there into the world every time in these videos. I'm going to wish for Gore Magala in stories. I'm going to wish for Gore Magala in any Monster Hunter game that come out. But it seems like they hate Gore Magala, like Lagiacrus, and I want to see Gore back. So hopefully we get to see Gore in Rise Up. And,
I hope that we don't see gore, just so that the running meme that they just hate gore just keeps continuing, and so that every time we talk about upcoming monsters, 260 be like, maybe it will be gore this time, and it just isn't.
True. I just like the whole aesthetic of gore, the way that it all functions, all the frenzy stuff as well. I really like all of that stuff. So I'm ready to see the Gore Magala back in the game and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, definitely really want to see that. Is there any monsters in particular that you want to see?
There's two that I want to highlight, okay? So first one, I love Steve Seregios. I know that he's like more of a basic monster, but I really like how he looks. But I also found that he's like one of the few monsters that has actually like unique weapon skills that affect the weapon differently to like other skills. So for example, dodge rolling gives you sharpness, or if you're using a bowgun, dodge rolling reloads a shot. And just those kind of skills, and I've said it in other videos, I want like more monsters, got stories 2 on the brain, I want more monsters to give weapons or armor sets that have a unique mechanic, you know, that isn't just attack boost or fire boost or a resistance, you know. I want something interesting like the Seregios stuff gets, so I really hope we get Seregios just for that. But outside of that, I was thinking Val Hazak is so cool.
Ooh, yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember Val Hazak, but that fight, it had the music, there was like environmental traps, it's like, he is a fun monster to beat down on, you know? So when I think about like World, Val Hazak has got to be like one of my favorite fights, like particularly in base, like, or like near base World. So yeah, Val Hazak would be sick to come back.
I think you said something and kind of hit the nail on the head as well. Like the environmental traps need to make a comeback as well, right? Like the fact that we don't necessarily have environmental traps, but they're kind of like a really good kind of spectacle aspect of like the game. It was just fun every time that you used to go into like Rotten Vale and get the little, I don't know, is it stalactite or stalagmite? Can't remember.
I don't even know if you could call it that because it was colossal. It was like this huge
the big
stalagmite
tooth
on the wall.
The big tooth.
Yeah.
And dropped it down. It was just fun to do it, and it kind of like switched up the mechanics of like a particular fight. If you're fighting Val Hazak on there, it was kind of like the unique thing that you did on that map as well, right? And we kind of really got used to that.
Even like the waterfall on on the, what's it, Ancient Forest? That waterfall was such a sick environmental trap. Like, you literally changed the environment, open up another area behind it, and push the monster off a cliff.
Yeah.
They need to bring that back into Rise. Like, they were some of the coolest moments in like fights. So I totally agree there.
Yeah, so talking about monsters and stuff like that, we definitely want to see more armor and improved armor designs. I don't really feel like there was that crazy armor designs that kind of spoke to me. I know a load of people did enjoy it, but personally for me, with the kind of muted palette, I feel like if you play stories and you look at all the armor designs and stories, they look, to me personally, don't get angry, calm down. To me personally, look a lot better in like stories and stuff like that than they did in Monster Hunter Rise. So I want to see some of that vibrancy come back into the armor and some of the like the real cool like looking armors as well, like in the game, along with set skills as well. So one of the things that we're kind of really missing from Rise was like having set bonuses that kind of, I know it kind of funnels you into using a particular armor. You guys can let me know what you really think about this, but when you have these set skills, it just means that when you get that armor set, it feels a lot more like rewarding because you know that that armor set does something in like unique to that armor set. So you're like, oh, let me try this out and see how it does and how it works. And it kind of did it a little bit with like the Storm Souls sets stuff that it had going on, but not really too crazy in there as well. But what do you think about this, Mario?
I think it's a complicated one because they have the soul skills, like you say, which function as a set bonus, but also aren't a set bonus. And also a lot of the perks on the soul skills were quite odd. Either the ones at the start were good, or the ones at the end were good, or in some cases, like none of them were really that good. So I do think that having set bonuses back would be really nice because one, when I think about a mixed set, my mind is like, I want to mix and match set bonuses, and then then within that you pick the pieces that complement each other for the build you're making, and it just has that bit of depth to it that I liked. But I also would like to see, considering that we are talking about something like Rise Up or Rise Ultimate, that they have more skills on them and more decoration slots on them. Yeah. Because there's that, when you play like the ultimate version of the game or whatever, that you can end up in past Monster Hunter games, you can have some crazy builds where you have loads of skills on them, on yourself, and you can really like push it to the limit, right? Yeah. Whereas in Rise, as it is now, you are very restricted on exactly how many skills you can fit into the build. So I do think more skills, more decoration slots, and maybe also set bonuses would be like really great for completely mixing up all of your builds.
Sick. Yeah, and I think that kind of talking about builds in general, the thing that needs to be improved so that we can kind of really build the builds that we want is improved talisman farming. Like, the fact is, like, I didn't really enjoy the grind for like farming talismans. Like, it just wasn't appealing to me. I feel like there needs to be rewards at the end of like missions more so, and all of that stuff needs to be integrated more than necessarily just going to the pot and then throwing it in there and it just giving you some like really obscure ability, and then once in a while every like 10 ones that you get gives you like a semi-decent one, not even a good one.
I think there is something to be said here that no matter if you like or prefer talismans or decorations, like all like preference aside, the system of having to go to an NPC, going into menus, giving resources to fill it out, leaving that menu, going into a quest, loading back in, going back to that NPC, opening up that menu just to get your talisman, right? That's a lot of extra things added in where it could just be, like you said, rewarded at the end of a quest like decorations were in World. So I think that for one, just having them given to you in an easier way, like you're still having to do the hunt, so you're still having to do the prerequisite of hunting, but at least that way you don't have to just be constantly running between menus to like get the reward. But also, and we've said this in other videos and I've seen people comment it would be so nice to have like an event quest or something where you just get 5 or 10 talismans at the end and you can just farm that back to back until you get a talisman that you like, because
I completely agree.
I've documented my road to madness with talismans on my channel. There are many episodes of talisman openings where I just get nothing good. Back to back to back. So maybe my RNG's bad and therefore I'm biased, but I would like a way to get talismans more reliably, more quickly, without the complete RNG-ness of having to just pray you get something good, and also that inconvenience of having to go between a lot of menus just to actually obtain the talisman, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Talking about documenting your roads, the other thing that we really, really want for Rise, and I think is one of the mainstay points for it compared to like some of the other games that come out, is just having an established roadmap. And what that means for me personally is, what would you say is a decent roadmap in terms of like cadence for a Monster Hunter game? Is it like a couple of monsters every 2 months? I think a couple of new monsters every 2 months for like a year.
Yeah. Yes, I think that would be a really good baseline. Like it would be great if we could have a new monster every week, but that's not going to happen, right? So realistically, 1 or 2 monsters every month or 2, I think would be enough, because then it's like, you know, a month passes, maybe 2 months passes, but then a whole new monster, maybe even 2 new monsters, a new armor set each, new weapon each, mix up your build, try something new. That is what keeps you coming back, you know, because you'll play the game, you know, you'll be like, okay, I've done my bit for now, and then a couple weeks later the update dropped. Hop back in, farm that monster out, make a few new builds, maybe a week or two's passed by then and you've been playing the game enjoying it, and then, you know, okay, maybe outside of that you're finished, you know, and then it's like, okay, we'll wait for the next thing. So
you don't feel like you need to play the game all the time as well in that case as well, because it's like 2 months is quite a long time. You can get through that content quite quickly, get the armor set and play if you want to, and you feel like you're playing some new content if you are playing all the time in between those months. But 2 months you can take time out, come back to the game, and it kind of really feel fresh or almost, because you're approaching that game. What I would say is maybe 3 monsters is the right way to go, and you can get like 2 returning monsters where they've just basically ported them over into the Rise engine, and like a brand new monster or something like that. I feel like having a brand new monster rather than returning monsters kind of definitely
way
makes
more
it
exciting.
way more exciting for me personally, because it really spices things up, and you can get to learn the monster at that time as well, or maybe just like, I don't know. We'll see what they do anyway, but I feel like
maybe
yeah,
a collab or two as well,
Yeah.
like a cool collab or two in there as well. I think that everybody is crying out for a roadmap, and obviously we want a roadmap, a nice roadmap for Rise as well. So I hope that when they get around to like eventually dropping the, I guess you would call it like the G rank version, right? That's how people normally refer to it.
yeah.
When they drop the G rank version, it would be absolutely amazing to see a roadmap alongside it. I think that might just 180 everybody. Like, it's like, oh, you've been starved for content. Here's like the new G rank version. Enjoy. Oh, and by the way, you've got content for a while.
Well, that's
Like
literally
that-
what they did for stories, though, right? They literally did that for stories. If they kind of matched the cadence of content that they had for stories with Rise, which again, I'm going to say, I feel like they have to kind of have listened to the community on this one. They must be like, people are roasting the game for not having a roadmap. That, like, the future's bright, right? We've had this incident with Rise where it's not had content, and then maybe Rise's base game had to take the L, so that now this is never going to happen ever in the future. We're going to get that content roadmap, hopefully.
I want to just stay on the topic though. It's such a shame that Rise didn't have that roadmap to begin with, because the gameplay wise, like, Rise is so, the silk skills, the switch moves, like, it's so fun, and there are some really cool monsters in Rise as well. Like the playthrough experience, and then even the end game, like until you've made your builds experience, was really good. Like, even though I hate the Talisman farming, it was still so fun. And it's just a shame to see like how the community consensus has changed to the game now. Like, at the beginning, everyone was like, best Monster Hunter game ever. Like, I love Kimura Village, I love the twins, I love silk moves. And now everyone's like, I've played everything and I want more. You know?
I still think it's my best Monster Hunter game ever. Like, the concept of it is my favorite Monster Hunter game. I like the village, I like the aesthetic, I like the Silkbind moves, I like the speed of it. I just like most of the things about it. It's like a nice mix of like old school and new school Monster Hunter. It's just like, even though the concept of it is like good, the execution of the broader like game around it isn't necessarily something that I can gel with, and it kind of is a bit of a weird one. So I don't know what's going on, but that doesn't really matter, right? We're complaining about it now, and in whenever time that they release this update, are people even going to care anyway? Like, are they really going to care if this DLC update comes out and it's like so much better? So I don't feel like it's a problem now. It's a huge problem now, but it might not necessarily be a big problem that people even remember come like a year or two time.
That's actually quite funny, because like, imagine in like 2 years time, after like it's already come out, people played it, everyone's like, remember back to Rise launch when everyone hated Rise?
Exactly.
And now everyone loves it again. Like, I would like to see if that can happen.
Yeah.
So that would be fun. But on that same topic, I want to bring the next one ahead of it.
Yeah.
Because the launch of Rise was a bit weird. Like, it didn't have the full story like in the launch until the update dropped, like the first big update that dropped, and it didn't have like the Elder Dragons as well. So I really hope that if and when like Rise Up drops or Rise G rank drops, that if there is a story component to it, that it's all in there and it's all complete, and we don't have to wait X months for an update to drop to add in the rest of it, you know?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like they need to have the story in, like, or a satisfying conclusion on day one as well. They can't just have like, are we just fighting the same monster again underground, basically? Because I don't know, the what was it, a Narwa fight with like the All Mother Narwa fight wasn't super satisfying even when we got it as well. So yeah, we need something more.
I agree with you there.
Yeah.
I didn't think that there was too unique, because it was two monsters that we'd already fought before that, and the Ibushi was like a sort of weakened version, and then All Mother was basically like just Narwa but a bit stronger, right?
Yeah.
But I did see people online saying that they actually really loved the All Mother fight and thought it was like, and were happy with it, which I disagree with. But the fact that there are people out there that thought that All Mother was like a satisfying end game boss fight, like, that's just something to mention. I don't agree with it, but some people did like it, so I don't know.
You guys can let us know what you thought of the All Mother fight. Like for me, fighting the same. I was expecting them to kind of mesh into one super uber monster and it'd be like something really cool. But I know other people were super satisfied with stuff, and it did have spectacle. Like when the blades were like floating around and whatever. I can see how that could float your boat, but for me personally, it didn't.
I have to say on this topic, because we are big on stories 2 right now.
Yeah.
And I will not spoil it for anyone.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking between the lines here. But the stories 2 boss puts All Mother boss to shame. So that's all I'm saying. Okay.
Imagine if they had a collab. Imagine if that was one of the collabs.
That would actually be the one of the best things ever. Like the stories 2 boss is awesome.
Yeah.
I won't spoil it. I'm not gonna say any specifics, but compared to All Mother, it was like night and day. Yeah. So if they were to add that into Rise, that would be insane. They need to, you know what? Petition to add
Are they big brain enough to do that? Are they big brain enough? No, they'll just give us so like, good. I don't know, like a rider saddle to like put on like Palamute and Albeit. Anyway, guys, we're gonna leave it there. There was one more point, which is the relic system, but I don't feel like you guys are ready for us to discuss that one yet. I know people would get salty, so we're gonna leave that one for today. But that is our wish list for Monster Hunter Rise Up, as we're calling it. You guys can come up with your name. If you come up with a name, then definitely put it in the comment section so that we can know that you've made it to the end of the video. We've done the same competition on well, not competition, but what do we call this? Keyword challenge. Keyword challenge. That's it. Challenge on Paradise's video as well. So if you want to go over there and check out Paradise's video, which is what is it? What are we talking about?
Talking about Stories 2, sort of what we're doing, what we're excited for coming forwards, where we're spending our time, why we're still playing the game, all that kind of stuff. You know, get you guys up to date.
Yeah. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. And I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe the video. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget you can subscribe so you don't miss another video.